All right, the next question is for Kody, because I see a lot of criticism, especially from constituents in the riding, over a recent vote against a motion that I believe would have seen seniors get more money. So you also voted against it, I believe, Darrell. So can you explain why you voted that way? I think it was a block motion. So explain.
It was, yeah, Pat. So just, it was an opposition day motion. And just for the benefit of your listeners, opposition day motions are not necessarily binding on the government. Sometimes they're used as a tool for the opposition to try to create wedge issues for members of the governing caucus, which would be Darrell and I. The block motion really, I don't have it right in front of me, but the way it read was essentially a $110 increase in old age security for everyone over 65. To put that into context, we had a platform commitment, which we've kept. And I'm glad you raised this, Pat, because it allows us to talk about the investments we've made in seniors. But we had an old age security promise of increasing it by 10% for those that are 75 years of age and older. The $110 across the board would have equated to almost 20% for all seniors. And that's not to say that some of those investments aren't important. But when you look at the totality and the age demographic of our country, that would be an expenditure that, frankly, I don't know if it would be feasible. You know, we talk about fiscal prudence and balance. I don't know if something of that size and scope. I told my constituents the reason I voted against it is because I knew there would be investments coming in the budget that spoke to seniors, and they were there. In part, the block motion never mentioned the guaranteed income supplement as well, which was, we made a historic investment in the guaranteed income supplement in the last parliament. We followed up with our investment of 75 and up for old age security. And my hope is, and Darrell might be able to speak to his perspective as a parliamentarian, my hope is as we get into what could be an election in the next couple of years, or certainly the next couple of months, we don't know, it's a minority parliament. My hope is to try to build on that initial success for the guaranteed income supplement and make investments for those that are under 75 that are particularly vulnerable. The whole idea of the 75 and over was looking at the statistics and the demographics to say, look, at the end of the day, when someone maybe loses a partner, particularly there's a lot of vulnerable senior women, and we went with 75. There's some critics that will say, why didn't you go lower? Why didn't you go different age? It's fair, but you know, at the end of the day, we went 75 and over. That was our platform commitment. My focus now is focusing on other elements that we can help for vulnerable seniors who are under that age. Sorry, Pat, I see your banner's just about to fly away. Well, no, it's holding true. Darrell might have some other comments, but I mean, the opposition day motion, it sometimes is just politics. Sometimes it's not. But in that case, I voted because I knew there was going to be investments coming. When we look at the investments we've made in old age security, when we look at the investments we've made around long-term care, when we look at the last parliament in terms of the investment, we look at the $500 that was given to seniors, you know, during the height of the pandemic. This has been a government that has been focused on seniors and knows the value of what those contributions mean.
Anything to add to that, Darrell?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kody's 100% right. Our government has been focused on supporting seniors from day one. And let's go back to day one. You remember what the Conservatives were going to do in 2014? They were going to raise the age for the old age pension from 65 to 67 years old. How many seniors in my riding and across this province and across the country would not have an old age pension before they reach 67 years old? So that by itself was one big investments that this government has moved forward on to support seniors. As Kody said, through the pandemic, we were able to give seniors that with the old age pension $300 tax-free for all seniors. And then an added $200 tax-free for those most vulnerable seniors who were on the GIS. And not only did we do that, but when we first came into power in 2016, as Kody said, we increased the GIS by 10%. Our commitment has been from day one to support seniors over 75, an additional 10%. And the reason for that is all the statistics, the research is clear that those seniors, 75 and older, it's not to say the others don't need that money, but 75 and older, most of their savings for retirement has been now spent or to continue to contribute. And it's more difficult. There's less money in their savings. And two, often one of the spouses may have passed. And because of that, now we're saying we want to help you stay home longer. Well, if we want to help you stay home longer and establish programs to allow you to stay at home longer, like the health plan where we have caseworkers coming in to support you. But here, your cost, if you're living at home, if two people are contributing towards taxes and the light and the heat, and now one has passed, you are in greater need. So we are trying to support those who are in greater needs, always looking at the most vulnerable. And we will continue to do that. We have been there since day one for seniors, and we will be there for seniors right through our mandate. Thank you.
All right. Now,
Pat, just one added piece, if you could, just so people, I mean, and sometimes when you throw around the numbers, it doesn't always register either. I mean, this is one of the largest investments in this budget 2021 in seniors in history. It's $3 billion a year in terms of continued funding. And so if you're a senior sitting at home, you're saying, look, well, I'm 73. Well, it's going to be waiting there for you in 2 years. And I know that sometimes, look, I've had conversations with lower income seniors who are below 75. I understand, but we're setting the stage that moving forward, that will be the expectation that when you hit that age, it's there and waiting for you. And not unlike, old age security when it's sitting and waiting for you at 65. And so it's $3 billion a year, year over year. That's huge. That's a big investment. I just want to make sure that your listeners understand that.
Yeah, and it's also direct investment. We haven't talked about, Kody and I, about all the indirect investments, like the New Horizon Fund, which has been doubled to support senior and senior organizations so that they could have programming virtually, so they could purchase equipment, transportation. There's all kinds of great things happening through a more general approach to supporting seniors. So this is a government that has a priority for seniors from day one.
The Waverly Legion Kitchen and the Amsterdam Community Garden are two beneficiaries of that New Horizon program.
Right on. You're up to date, young fellow.